Before I reveal this transformative habit, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to accomplish so much more than others, even though we all have the same 24 hours in a day? I used to wonder about that myself. Why is it that one person turns their life from struggle to success while another remains stuck year after year? The answer isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, and it certainly isn't some special gift bestowed upon the fortunate few. No, the difference comes down to something much simpler, much more fundamental. It comes down to how they manage their choices. You see, everything in life can be distilled down to the choices we make, the small choices. The daily choices, the moment-by-moment choices that often seem insignificant at the time but compound dramatically over the course of our lives. I learned this lesson early in my life, and it changed everything for me. I was a one-time farm boy from Idaho who didn't go to college, and at age 25 was broke. Not just a little short on cash broke, but through a series of fortunate events, my mentor, Earl Schoaf. And what Earl taught me wasn't complicated. It was simple, but it was profound. He taught me that success isn't something you pursue, it's something you attract by the person you become. And who you become is determined by the habits you develop and practice day in and day out. Now, let me tell you about this one habit that will multiply your results tenfold, almost instantly. It's a habit so powerful yet so simple that most people overlook it. They're looking for something more complex, more mysterious, more magical. The habit is this: take immediate action on your most important priorities, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, but right now. Let that sink in for a moment. Take immediate action on your most important priorities. This habit has three essential components that make it so powerful. First, it focuses on what's truly important, your priorities, not distractions. Second, it emphasizes action, not planning, not thinking, not preparing, but doing. And third, it stresses immediacy, not delay, not procrastination, but now. When you combine these three elements, priority, action, and immediacy, you create a force so powerful it can transform your life overnight. Let me explain why this works. You see, most people live their lives in one of two ways. Either they're reacting to whatever demands their attention at the moment, or they're putting off what really matters until someday when conditions are perfect. The first group, the reactors, they're busy, incredibly busy. They're responding to emails, answering phone calls, handling emergencies, and putting out fires all day long. At the end of their day, they're exhausted, but what have they accomplished? They spent their precious time and energy on other people's priorities, not their own. Then there's the second group, the waiters. They know what they should be doing. They have goals, dreams, and aspirations, but they're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect circumstances before they act. I'll start my business when I have more capital. I'll write my book when I have more time. I'll fix my relationship when things calm down at work. They're waiting for some day, which, as you know, is not a day of the week. But there's a third way to live, the way of the achiever. Achievers understand that success comes from identifying what's truly important and taking immediate action on those priorities. They don't react to life, they create it. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they act in spite of conditions. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Jim, this sounds wonderful, but I have so many priorities. I can't take immediate action on all of them. And you're absolutely right, you can't do everything, but you can do the most important things. This brings me to a critical question. How do you determine what your most important priorities are? Well, I learned a valuable lesson years ago. Your true priorities are revealed not by what you say, but by what you do. If you say your health is a priority, but you never exercise and eat fast food every day, then health isn't really your priority, convenience is. If you say your family is a priority, but you consistently work late and miss important events, then family isn't really your priority, work is. So the first step is honesty. You need to be brutally honest with yourself about what truly matters to you. Not what you think should matter, not what others expect to matter, but what genuinely matters to you. Once you've identified your true priorities, the next step is to take immediate action on them. Not next Monday, not after you've finished everything else on your to-do list, but right now. You see, there's magic in immediate action. When you act immediately, you build momentum. And momentum is a powerful force. It's like rolling a boulder down a hill. It takes a lot of effort to get it moving, but once it's in motion, it becomes easier and easier to keep it going. But there's an even more powerful reason to take immediate action. Every time you act on a priority, you're sending a message to yourself. You're saying, this matters to me, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. And over time, these messages shape your identity. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people who both say they want to be writers. The first person talks about writing a book someday but never actually sits down to write. The second person writes for 15 minutes every morning before going to work. After a year, who do you think is more likely to identify as a writer? The person who talks about writing or the person who writes every day? The answer is obvious. The person who takes immediate action on their priority of writing is becoming a writer through their actions. This is the transformative power of this one habit. When you take immediate action on your priorities, you're not just accomplishing tasks, you're becoming the person who consistently does those things. You're reshaping your identity. But there's more. When you take immediate action on your priorities, you also build confidence. You see, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not something you can wish for or dream about. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and then you do it, you're building trust with yourself. You're proving to yourself that your word means something, that you can rely on yourself, that you can trust yourself. Conversely, every time you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, you're eroding that trust. You're teaching yourself that your words are empty, that your commitments are optional, that you can't rely on yourself. So when you take immediate action on your priorities, you're not just accomplishing tasks, you're building self-trust. You're building confidence. You're building character. Now let me address a common objection. Some people hear this advice and think, Jim, I'm already taking action. I'm already doing things. Why aren't I seeing better results? And my response is this: are you taking action on your true priorities, or are you just staying busy? Are you doing what's most important, or are you doing what's most convenient? Are you focusing on activities that create significant value, or are you just filling time? You see, not all actions are created equal. Some actions have a disproportionate impact on your results. These are what I call high leverage activities, things that create value far beyond the time and effort you invest in them. For instance, having a heartfelt conversation with your child about their dreams might take 30 minutes, but the impact of that conversation could last a lifetime. Reaching out to a potential client might take 5 minutes, but it could lead to a relationship worth thousands of dollars. Spending an hour learning a new skill might seem small, but applied consistently, it could transform your career. Identifying these high leverage activities and taking immediate action on them is where the 10x multiplier comes from. It's not about working 10 times harder, it's about focusing on activities that produce 10 times the results. But here's where most people get stuck. They know what their priorities are. They know which activities would give them the highest leverage. But they don't take immediate action because they're waiting until they feel motivated. They're waiting for inspiration to strike. They're waiting until they feel ready. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how success works. Successful people don't wait until they feel motivated to act. They act, and then motivation follows. They don't wait until they feel confident to begin. They begin and then convene. They don't wait until they have clarity to start. They start and then clarity emerges. In other words, action precedes clarity, confidence, and motivation, not the other way around. So if you're waiting until you feel ready to take action on your priorities, you've got it backward. Take action now, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're afraid. The readiness will come through the doing. Now, let me share a practical strategy for implementing this habit in your daily life. It's called the Power Hour, and it's transformed the lives of countless individuals I've mentored over the years. The Power Hour is simple. Each day, dedicate the first hour of your day before emails, before social media, before the demands of others compete for your attention, to your most important priority. Not what's urgent, not what's easy, but what's truly important for your long-term success and fulfillment. During this hour, you focus with laser-like precision on taking action toward your priority. If health is your priority, you exercise. If writing is your priority, you write. If building your business is your priority, you work on your business plan or make sales calls. The specific activity doesn't matter as much as ensuring it aligns with your true priorities and that you're taking immediate action on it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, Jim, I don't have a spare hour in my day. I'm already overwhelmed with responsibilities, and I understand that concern. But let me ask you this, can you find 15 minutes? Can you wake up 15 minutes earlier? Can you use your lunch break? Can you find 15 minutes before bed? Start with whatever time you can carve out, but make it sacred, make it non-negotiable. Treat it as the most important appointment of your day, because it is. It's an appointment with your future self, with the person you're becoming, with the life you're creating. And here's what's fascinating. Once you start taking immediate action on your priorities, no matter how small the action might seem, you'll begin to experience what I call success momentum. Each small win builds confidence, which leads to bigger actions, which leads to bigger wins, which builds more confidence. It's an upward spiral of success that compounds over time. But it all starts with that first step, with taking immediate action on your priorities right now. Let me share a personal example. Years ago, I decided that reading and learning would be one of my top priorities. I didn't have much time, but I committed to reading 10 pages of a good book every day. Just 10 pages. It seemed small, almost insignificant. But I took immediate action. I didn't wait until I had more time. I didn't wait until I felt more motivated. I just started that very day. 10 pages a day might not sound like much, but over the course of a year, it adds up to 3,650 pages. That's about 12 to 15 books. And over a decade, that's 120 to 150 books. Can you imagine the impact of absorbing the wisdom of 150 carefully chosen books? That simple habit, taking immediate action on my priority of learning, has paid dividends far beyond what I could have imagined. The ideas I've encountered, the strategies I've learned, the perspectives I've gained have shaped my thinking, my businesses, my relationships, and my life. And it all started with 10 pages a day. Not a grand dramatic gesture, but a small, consistent action taken immediately. This is the power of this one habit. Take immediate action on your most important priorities. It doesn't require a complete life overhaul. It doesn't demand that you work 20 hours a day. It simply asks that you identify what truly matters to you and that you take action on it right now, today, without delay. Now, I want to address another objection I often hear. Jim, I'm not sure what my priorities should be. How can I take immediate action when I don't know what to focus on? This is a valid concern, but it's also a form of procrastination. You see, clarity comes through engagement, not contemplation. You discover your true priorities by trying things, by taking action, by engaging with life, not by thinking about it endlessly. If you're not sure what your priorities should be, start by asking yourself what areas of my life, if improved, would have the most positive impact on my overall well-being and success. Is it your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your spiritual life? Once you've identified these areas, take immediate action in each one. Exercise for 15 minutes. Have a meaningful conversation with a loved one. Learn a new skill related to your career. Set up an automatic savings plan. Spend time in prayer or meditation. Through these actions, you'll begin to feel which areas resonate most deeply with you. You'll discover which activities bring you the most fulfillment, which ones energize you rather than drain you, which ones you look forward to rather than avoid. These feelings are valuable clues to your true priorities, but you can only discover them through action, not thinking. Let me tell you about a young woman I mentored several years ago. She came to me confused about her direction in life. She had a stable job that paid the bills but didn't inspire her. She had various interests but wasn't sure which one to pursue seriously. She was paralyzed by indecision. I gave her a simple assignment for the next 30 days, spend 15 minutes each day taking action on each of her potential interests. If she was interested in writing, write for 15 minutes. If she was interested in photography, take photos for 15 minutes. If she was interested in starting a business, work on a business plan for 15 minutes. After 30 days, she came back with clarity. The activities that she found herself looking forward to, the ones where 15 minutes easily turned into 30. The ones that she thought about even when she wasn't doing them, those were her true priorities. She discovered her passion not through endless deliberation, but through immediate action. And once she identified her true priorities, she doubled down on them, eventually turning her passion into a thriving business that she loves. This is why immediate action is so powerful. It not only moves you forward, it also provides clarity, confidence, and momentum along the way. Now let's talk about the barriers that might prevent you from adopting this habit. The most common one is what I call the urgency trap. This is when you allow urgent matters to consume your time at the expense of important ones. Urgent matters demand immediate attention: the ringing phone, the incoming email, the crying child, the deadline at work. Important matters, on the other hand, don't demand attention. They quietly await your decision to address them: your health, your relationships, your personal growth, your long-term goals. The urgency trap leads many people to spend their days putting out fires rather than building something of value. They're constantly responding to the demands of the moment rather than proactively creating the future they desire. To escape this trap, you must distinguish between what's urgent and what's important. And then you must commit to taking immediate action on what's important before addressing what's merely urgent. This might mean turning off your phone for an hour each morning while you work on your priority. It might mean declining certain requests or delegating certain tasks so you can focus on what truly matters. It might mean setting boundaries with people who consume your time without contributing to your growth. Whatever it takes, you must create space in your life for your priorities. Because if you don't, the urgent will always crowd out the important. You'll find yourself at the end of your life wondering where the time went and why you never accomplished what you were capable of. Another common barrier is perfectionism, the belief that you need to know exactly how to do something before you begin, that you need to have all the answers before you take the first step, that you need to avoid mistakes at all costs. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. It keeps you stuck in planning mode, in learning mode, in preparation mode, but never in action mode. It's a form of fear disguised as high standards. To overcome this barrier, embrace what I call imperfect action. This means taking action even when you don't have all the answers, even when you're not sure if you're doing it right, even when you know you'll make mistakes along the way. Remember, it's better to be approximately right and moving forward than to be precisely right and standing still. It's better to make progress with imperfect action than to make no progress with perfect planning. The most successful people I've known throughout my life weren't the ones who made the fewest mistakes. They were the ones who took the most action. They tried things, they experimented, they failed frequently, but learned from each failure and kept moving forward. They understood that mistakes aren't failures, they're feedback. They're valuable data points that help you adjust your course and improve your approach. Without mistakes, there's no growth. Without failures, there's no learning. So don't let perfectionism keep you from taking immediate action on your priorities. Start now with what you have where you are. You can adjust and improve as you go. Yet another barrier is what I call someday syndrome, the belief that there will be a perfect time in the future to start working on your priorities. Someday when the kids are older, someday when work slows down, someday when I have more money, someday when I feel more confident. But here's the truth, someday never comes. There will always be reasons to delay, excuses to postpone, justifications to wait. Life doesn't get less busy. Responsibilities don't magically disappear. The perfect conditions you're waiting for may never materialize. The only time you can actually take action is now, this moment, today, not yesterday, which is gone forever. Not tomorrow, which is never guaranteed, but now. This is why the habit of taking immediate action on your priorities is so powerful. It cuts through the delusion of someday and anchors you in the reality of today. It transforms vague intentions into concrete actions. It turns someday dreams into present-day realities. Now, I want to address one more objection I often hear. Jim, I'm afraid I'll choose the wrong priorities. What if I invest time and energy in something that turns out not to be important? This is a common fear, but it's based on a misunderstanding. You see, priorities aren't set in stone. They evolve as you grow, as your circumstances change, as you gain new insights and experiences. The goal isn't to choose the perfect priorities once and for all. The goal is to choose the best priorities based on your current understanding, and then to take immediate action on them. As you act, you'll gain clarity. You'll refine your understanding. You'll adjust your priorities accordingly. Think of it as navigating a ship across the ocean. You set your course based on your best understanding of your destination and the prevailing conditions. But as you sail, you gather new information. You encounter unexpected currents and winds. You adjust your course accordingly. The key is to keep moving forward, to keep taking action, to keep adjusting based on the feedback you receive. A ship that stays in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. And a life that avoids action for fear of making mistakes is secure, but that's not what life is meant for. Life is meant to be lived actively, purposefully, intentionally, and that begins with taking immediate action on your priorities. Now let me share a powerful technique for making this habit stick. It's called the 5-minute rule, and it's remarkably effective for overcoming inertia and building momentum. Here's how it works. When you're facing resistance to taking action on a priority, when you're feeling lazy or unmotivated or distracted, commit to just 5 minutes of focused action. That's it, just 5 minutes. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. It's such a small commitment that it bypasses the brain's resistance mechanisms. It feels manageable, non-threatening, and low risk. But here's the fascinating thing. Once you're engaged for those first 5 minutes, continuing often becomes easier than stopping. This is because the hardest part of any task is starting it. Once you're in motion, physics works in your favor. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. I've seen this technique work wonders for people who struggle with procrastination. They use the 5-minute rule to get started on their priority, and before they know it, they've been working productively for 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes more. But even if you only do 5 minutes, that's still progress. That's still action. That's still better than nothing. And over time, those 5-minute sessions add up to significant progress. Remember, success is not about grand, dramatic actions taken occasionally. It's about small, consistent actions taken regularly. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. And the 5-minute rule helps you maintain that consistency, even on days when motivation is low. Now let's talk about how to measure the effectiveness of this habit. How do you know if taking immediate action on your priorities is actually multiplying your results tenfold? The answer lies in tracking both your actions and your outcomes. For actions, keep a simple log of the time you spend each day taking immediate action on your priorities. This creates accountability and allows you to see patterns over time. For outcomes, identify key metrics that reflect progress toward your goals. If health is a priority, track your weight, your energy levels, your exercise consistency. If business is a priority, track your revenue, your customer satisfaction, your product development milestones. Review these metrics regularly, daily, weekly, monthly, and look for the correlation between your actions and your outcomes. Over time, you'll see that consistent, immediate action on your priorities leads to exponential results. But be patient. Remember, the 10x in 10x your results doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years of consistent action before you see the full magnitude of the results. This is the principle of compound interest applied to your actions. Just as money compounds over time when you consistently invest, results compound over time when you consistently take action on your priorities. The early returns might seem small, almost negligible, but if you stay the course, if you maintain the habit, the later returns can be massive. This is why many people give up too soon. They don't see immediate, dramatic results, so they conclude that the approach isn't working. They don't understand the power of compounding, the way small actions accumulate and multiply over time. Don't make this mistake. Trust the process. Keep taking immediate action on your priorities, even when the results aren't yet visible. The seeds you plant today will bear fruit in due season, but only if you continue to nurture them through consistent action. Now, I want to share one more strategy for making this habit stick. Find an accountability partner or group. This is someone who knows your priorities, understands your goals, and is committed to holding you accountable for taking immediate action. Meet with this person regularly. Weekly is ideal to review your actions and your outcomes. Be honest about your successes and your struggles. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Learn from your setbacks, no matter how large. An accountability partner provides external motivation when your internal motivation wanes. They offer perspective when you lose sight of your progress. They provide encouragement when you face obstacles. They keep you honest when you're tempted to make excuses. But choose your accountability partner wisely. Find someone who will be both supportive and challenging. Someone who will celebrate your successes but won't let you off the hook when you fall short. Find someone who is also committed to taking immediate action on their own priorities so you can learn from each other's journeys. If you can't find an individual to serve as your accountability partner, consider joining a mastermind group or a success-oriented community. These groups provide the same benefits: support, perspective, encouragement, and accountability, often with the added advantage of diverse viewpoints and experiences. The key is to not go alone. Success is rarely a solo journey. We all need others to help us stay on track, to lift us when we fall, to push us when we stall, to celebrate with us when we succeed. Now, as we draw near the end of our time together, I want to emphasize a crucial point. The habit of taking immediate action on your priorities isn't just about achieving external success, more money, better health, stronger relationships. Though it certainly leads to these outcomes, it's also about achieving internal fulfillment, a sense of purpose, accomplishment, and self-respect. When you consistently take immediate action on your priorities, you build what I call integrity with yourself. You become a person who does what they say they'll do. You become a person who follows through. You become a person who can be trusted, not just by others, but more importantly by yourself. This self-trust, this self-respect, this integrity with yourself is the foundation of true success and fulfillment. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your values and priorities. It's the deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you're becoming the person you're capable of being. External success without this internal integrity is hollow. It leaves you feeling like an imposter, always afraid of being exposed, always seeking validation from others. But when external success flows from internal integrity, it's sustainable, it's authentic, it's deeply satisfying. So as you implement this habit, taking immediate action on your priorities, remember that you're not just pursuing external achievements. You're building internal character. You're not just creating a better life. You're becoming a better person. And ultimately, that's what success is all about. It's not about what you get. It's about who you become. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's not about the accomplishments. It's about the character you build along the way. So my challenge to you today is simple but profound. Identify your most important priority right now in this moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. And then take immediate action on it. Not after this speech is over. Not after you've thought about it more, but right now in your mind, commit to the specific action you'll take as soon as you leave this room. Maybe it's making that phone call you've been putting off. Maybe it's scheduling that doctor's appointment you've been delaying. Maybe it's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's spending 15 minutes on that business plan you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is, decide now and act immediately, because that's where the magic happens in the immediate action on your priorities. Remember, success is never owned, it's rented. And the rent is due every day. You pay that rent through the actions you take, the priorities you honor, the habits you practice. Pay that rent diligently, consistently, immediately, and success will be yours. I began by asking, have you ever noticed how some people seem to accomplish so much more than others, even though we all have the same 24 hours in a day? Now you know the answer. They take immediate action on their most important priorities. They don't react, they create. They don't wait, they initiate. They don't make excuses, they make progress. And you can join their ranks today, right now, by adopting this one habit that will multiply your results tenfold. Take immediate action on your most important priorities. Thank you for your attention today. Go forth and take action. Let me leave you with this final thought. Your life will be defined not by the opportunities you had, but by the actions you took. Not by the potential you possessed, but by the priorities you pursued. Not by what you plan to do someday, but by what you actually did today. So make today count. Take immediate action on your priorities. Your future self will thank you for it. Now, I'd like to close with a story that illustrates the power of this one habit. Years ago, I met a young man who was struggling in every area of his life. His health was poor. His finances were a mess. His relationships were strained. His career was stagnant. He came to one of my seminars looking for answers, looking for that one magical solution that would transform his life overnight. And I told him what I'm telling you today, take immediate action on your most important priorities. He seemed disappointed by the simplicity of this advice. He was hoping for something more complex, more mysterious, more magical. But to his credit, he decided to give it a try. He identified his most important priority at that time as health. He committed to taking immediate action by walking for just 15 minutes each day. Not an hour, not 30 minutes, just 15 minutes. When I saw him 6 months later, he was a different person. He had lost 30 pounds. His energy had improved dramatically. His confidence had soared. And here's the fascinating part, the improvements weren't limited to his health. Because he had built the habit of taking immediate action on his priorities, he had applied this same approach to other areas of his life. He had started saving a small amount each week. He had initiated healing conversations with family members. He had begun learning new skills to advance his career. The results weren't yet dramatic in these other areas, but they were moving in the right direction. He had momentum, he had confidence, he had clarity, all because he had adopted this one habit, taking immediate action on his most important priorities. When I asked him what made the difference, he said something profound. Jim, I realized that I had been living my life backward. I had been waiting to feel motivated before I took action, but now I understand that action comes first and motivation follows. I had been waiting to feel confident before I made changes, but now I understand that confidence comes from making changes. I had been waiting for the perfect plan before I started, but now I understand that clarity comes through doing, not planning. This young man discovered what I hope you're discovering today. The key to transforming your life isn't finding the perfect strategy, or waiting for the perfect moment, or creating the perfect plan. It's taking immediate action on your priorities, regardless of how you feel, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of whether you have it all figured out. Because when you take immediate action, something magical happens. The universe responds. Doors open, resources appear, help arrives, clarity emerges, confidence builds, momentum gathers, results multiply. But it all begins with that first step, with taking immediate action on your priorities right now. So as we conclude our time together, let me ask you one final question. What will you do with this information? Will you nod in agreement and then continue with business as usual? Or will you make a decision today, right now, to adopt this one habit that will multiply your results tenfold? The choice is yours, but remember, not to decide is to decide. Not to act is to act. By not consciously choosing to adopt this habit, you're unconsciously choosing to continue with your current habits and therefore your current results. I encourage you, no, I challenge you to make the conscious choice today to take immediate action on your priorities. Start small if you need to. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Start with just one priority. But start. Take that first step. Take it now. Because that's what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. That's what distinguishes the fulfilled from the frustrated. That's what differentiates the extraordinary from the ordinary. They take immediate action on their priorities. And so can you, starting today, starting now. Thank you for your time and attention. Now go forth and take action.